Excellent. Good. Right. So here we go. So what are we looking at in terms of prana? Prana is a term with many levels of meaning, from a biological force to the power of transcendence. So the importance of understanding the interrelative aspect of how prana is ever present, not just as physical air, but the finer aspects of your whole entire being and how it functions and comes to life, is more important just on a physical plane or a metaphysical plane. It actually transcends the whole journey, if you want to call it, the whole alchemic inner journey of how you intercorrelate with prana from an unconscious to a very conscious point of view. So when I say conscious point of view, I'm talking about when you're there at the point where every time you're taking in a breath, you're connected to that breath in some form of intent as to recognizing, even if it's just recognition of the breath, giving thanks for the breath, deep contemplation of the inner self. These are what's opening the doors to transcendence. And it's not just a pseudo scientific aspect of belief. There's many scientific knowledge now out there that proves the ability and the difference between conscious breathing, conscientious breathing, and just breathing. So for instance, you would have experiments done where transcendental meditation would be done with or without breathing. Visualization exercises would be done with or without breathing. So it's almost like testing the placebo of breathing or the empowerment of breathing whilst doing visualization exercises, how important it is in terms of how the science works. And how the science works is as this, is that when you're breathing with intent, there's more of a subconscious imprint made to the subconscious self, because there's more of a correlated, aligned expression from an emotional, intellectual, and physiological expression in the here and now that ties you into the present moment in a place of peace and balance. And not only that, the imprint that it makes on your momentum of being allows you to open up and bloom in a much more non-threatening way of being, because there's a sort of automatic resolution towards being joyous and joyful. So without any fear or tendencies to want to be scared of the direction that consciousness or your level of magnetism is bringing to you or unfolding to you in this very moment. So in that space of transcendence now, there's going to be a point of time where your interest on just the manifestation of things on the material plane will dissipate, because, you're kind of bored with one set of level of miracles. You want to actually prove what it is. What's the nature of this inner light? Is it just pure light? Is there a form from where this light is coming from? How do you connect to the idea of form in the next realm and transcend to that position of clarity? So a very interesting subject, in the way that these are signs of consistency to your meditation. And the more that you meditate, you find that more of your inner being will start to come to life. your inner senses will start to come to life. Your inner vision will start to come to life. Many things will start to come to life. So prana is not simply the breath or even the vital force, but ultimately the universal energy of the cosmic life. So the cosmic life, the cosmic consciousness, the Brahmanical aspect, the cosmic soul of intelligence, where everything is one, the divine oneness. So there are many levels of prana, from the world of nature to the power of immortal consciousness. So in that, there's every idea that the pranic aspect nurtures both your mortal body, your sub levels of being, so your sub bodies, your emotional bodies, your etheric body, all your other aspects, your akashic body, the soul body, which is prana, prana purusha. All these things are supported and groomed by prana. So when you're consciously breathing and doing these exercises in the form of a conscious idea to stay focused on a clear intention as to why you're breathing, you're really empowering so many different aspects of your being. It's like, because there's a part of you that is ever new. And in that ever new, it's powered by internalized intentional thinking, correlated with breathing. So this is the thing that, the trick that's at the end of the day, coined in the sense that you want to be able to walk in a constant form of meditation. So working with the cosmic prana is not just about breathing exercises, but taking in the creative force of the universe as part of the vibratory movement of all existence, known and unknown. So when we was talking about previously the space, which we call gray matter, because what's revealed to us is only 4%. The whole entire universe that we can pick up with our senses is only 4%. But the pranic life force exists beyond this. And it's the thing that's flowing ever through us, that ties us and bonds us in a form of consistent habitual ways of being, patterns. And it's only through conscious pranayamic breathing, should I say, is how we can break patterns of old quickly, speedily, and create new versions and identities of ourselves. So keeping on a form of everyday practicing or discipline to stick to pranic exercises is one of the key cornerstones of all levels of spiritual growth. So prana, life force. It is the life force that is present in all living things. This is what is distinguishable. This is what distinguishes it from a dead or non-living object. It manifests in the form of breath in living beings. It propels body and gives energy to perform its all activities. Once prana leaves the body, it's considered dead. At this point, soul, mind, and body separates. Based on its karma, it takes up a new body, a new mind. So the new mind aspect is, for instance, when we come into a new body, we can't remember our previous lifetime. And that is deliberately on a sort of eternal blessing that's kind of given to the idea of realigning all your intention into the here and now as your new form of reincarnation. So finding out your previous lifetime can cause baggage and damage which you don't really necessarily need to face. Because life is all about going forward. So yeah, it is the one cosmic principle, the fundamental of life. Without it, nothing exists. So what you have to understand is that all the aspects of the intercorrelated aspects of every single aspect of your conscious level of awareness is empowered by prana. Like thought doesn't even make a shift. And it's funny because you're only consciously aware of thought when it happens. But on a high level, thought has happened before. You have a conscious ability to actually recognize that. And that's been scientifically proven. So prana is the core and the essence of life, and it flows through everything that exists and permeates the entire universe. The breath is truly a vehicle for prana, allowing consciousness to navigate through the different bodies. Further, prana, also called universal energy, the energy of life or divine energy, is the substance behind all creation. It is the substance that allows objects to live in an inert state, as well as the essence of what makes living things live and move. The key point to understand is that consciousness and prana always coexist together. So let me just grab my little bowl of water, because I should not bowl, my jug, one sec. You find the air is very dry at night time when the cold is coming in. So you have to keep yourself well lubricated. Right. So at this point now, we're going to look at it even on a deeper level now. And the question that we're asking is, what is the difference between prana, consciousness, and the soul? We're going deep in. We're going deep, deep, deep in. So prana, life force. It is the life force that is present in all living beings. The life force, the expression of life. When we talk the expression, we're talking about that actual feminine aspect of life being in motion. So this is where, you know, even a lot of men wouldn't like to hear this, but the spirit is feminine by nature because of its pranic qualities, and all in the fact that it always wants to move. It's the thing that brings energy into the spirit soul combination. So it is a life force that is present in all living things. This is what distinguishes it from a dead or non-living object. It manifests in a form of breath in living beings. It propels body and gives energy to perform its all activities. Once prana leaves the body, it's considered dead. At this point, soul, mind, and body separates. Based on its karma, it takes up a new body, a new mind. So going in deeper. So prana is the core and the life essence of life, and it flows through everything that exists and permeates the entire universe. The breath is truly a vehicle for prana, allowing consciousness to navigate through the different bodies. Further, prana is also universal energy, the energy of life or divine energy, is the substance behind all creation. It is the substance that allows objects to live in an inert state, as well as the essence of what makes living things live and move. This looks like I've repeated this slide, so which means it's going to go into something deeper. Yes, here we go. So the subtle essence of Vata dosha, the subtle dosha prana, arises from the dosha of Vata. Vata is the energy of space and air. It governs all movement in the body. Prana is the flow of intelligence and the pulse of consciousness. So it is the great communicator to connect all systems within the body, the bridge that brings together 2 points. Prana is the movement and pulsation that happens. It is your beating heart, your inhale and exhale. swallowing your food and moving your waste out. It is also the energy movement through the nadis, energy channels, and the movement of your chakras and aura. Prana is the connecting link between the material, consciousness, and the mind. So it's the glue that makes and strings everything together. And the more that we can be conscious of this, just this one point, which is almost like realizing that this energy that we are is greater than what is expressed or what we see as a physical thing that's in front of us that we call body. As the more that we can relate to this information here and realize that we are not the body, we are something greater than the body. The body is the last expression of yourself. And after that, the body's health, the health of the body is now determined by the quality of the management of your prana. So this is where it gets deep. Consciousness refers to your individual awareness of your unique thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, and environment. And this is so deep that sometimes it's considered like, no man, where you go, you always find yourself there. A big saying, anywhere you go in the world, the first person you find is you. And that means your habits, your things that you like or you dislike about yourself. When you're faced on your own or when you're in company, you're always going to end up finding yourself caught up in what's considered as known as sanskars. Sanskars is the Vedic Sanskrit term that's used for describing the state of the behavior of consciousness. So when consciousness is referring to its individual self, it's referring to a state of self that is out of alignment with the super consciousness, the Brahmanic cosmic one, where everything is balanced. And it's you that's out of balance, that's caught up and making expressions of unique habitual thinking and habitual feeling created by the stimuli of the external world. And this is how impressions are made on the next level of consciousness, which is chitta. So Sat Chittananda, chitta is the memory of existence. And the memory of existence, when we want to tell our own story of existence, when sometimes our own story means it doesn't go nothing like that, it's just how we felt about it. And it's a complete difference from how the super soul within you is seeing the situation and waiting for you to align with what the inner soul is seeing in that situation, in an idea for you to grow. And in that space of growing through experience and finding the joy in all experiences of what was there to learn. And the joy is being able to be peaceful in all situations. And, you know, as rocky as the boat may seem, the four seasons may be thrown at you, you find a way to be at a perfect equilibrium where you're bringing your energy to the party. You're not making the party bring its energy to you. And this is what it's all about. So consciousness refers to the individual awareness of your unique thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, and environment. Cosmic energy or prana is a force of chitta. Cosmic energy or prana is a force, and chitta is a consciousness. Where is a cosmic energy or prana, there is consciousness. So again, that thing where they're bound together. A living being is called prani because it has the force and thus consciousness. As prana withdraws from the body, it becomes unconscious. So once the prana leaves the body, there's now a state of unconsciousness. When you become unconscious, there's whether it's through anesthetic or you knock your head or whatever, there's a part of your mind that shuts off from a certain level of reality, sometimes to avoid pain of that reality, upon which you won't have any idea of where you, and this is one of the behaviors of the subconscious self as a trigger switch to protect the idea or the referring to pain that will be too much of you associating with that pain and creating too much of a disturbance in your being. So in that sense, you become unconscious, and in that unconscious state, you've left a part of a pranic energy has left the conscious management of your brain, and this is also can be detected on EEG monitors as well. So the science has gone there to see the behavior of the brain, mind, light, conscious activity in all kinds of scenarios. And this is what's interesting about checking out the scientific verification of consciousness as a whole. So the cosmic play is the play of consciousness and cosmic energy. In the beginning, there was only absolute unmanifested consciousness called Parabrahma. So Parabrahma is the undisturbed aspect of pranic energy. Parabrahma could be considered latent etheric energy, because in space, in the whole of space, electricity is everywhere, and this is called like the dark light, black light, for instance. And that black light is that black energy that's just waiting for something to happen. The whole energy of the cosmos is charged with the energy that's waiting for something to happen at any given time that can now bring about a phenomenon called manifestation within its space. So, and it's all charged with this subtle energy, all based on what is known as dielectricity. So dielectricity and magnetism now creates the playing field for consciousness to interact with atoms on a level where now form is now relevant, where we can now see, taste, smell, touch, taste, and all the rest of it. So soul is the innermost consciousness. It dwells in the heart region. Soul holds all the secrets about previous lives, knowledge, learning, etc. It is immortal, which does not die when the body dies. Enlightened souls is free from the cycle of life and death, birth and death. So the soul is the individualized expression of omnipresent spirit. Let us consider the image of a gas stove top burner as a way to understand this. The little jets of flame appear to be all separate, but upon close inspection, we discern that they are all coming from the same source. Our role as humans is to identify our true nature as the soul and merge back into the infinite consciousness of spirit, and not to feel separated from the whole. Because when we separate from the whole, this is when we're now to perceive something different from what the whole is perceiving. And most of the time, this is when suffering comes on. And this is when we start to make up our own ideologies of what's happening in the world around us and start to sing the song of our own universe. So it's because our flames are dancing disproportionately to what is going on. You know, the Agni aspect of being is out of balance, and we're flickering, and we're not balanced, and we're not appropriating our levels of being. And within that alone, much less trying to do anything else, we're causing our system to sort of self-implode. We're causing our system to almost like become suicidal by nature because of this lack of management of this energy and this relationship that's going on. So the mind is the outermost layer of consciousness. A stable and focused mind is one with the prerequisite to control, to connect to soul. And this is only done through controlling, discipline, meditation. Mind is the key to connect the soul. When the mind establishes connection with the soul, you can say he is in touch with the soul. So this is when, for instance, we do the pranayamic breathing, and we haven't had a chance yet to do even 7. We've only managed to do 5 levels and start to get to that level of understanding. There's a level of feeling to connect to within the breath, within us. But the more that we can push, open up that aspect of being, again, that can only be done with the mind. For instance, when I say, place your mind on your heart, when you consciously have your mind associated with your heart and you're connected with thought, intention, heart, breath, now there's a new level of dimension, a new level of growth, faster in terms of groundedness, expansion, creative force, creativity force, miracles, manifestation of miracles, witnessing miracles, joy. All of these things all come about with the mind-soul connection, mind-heart connection, keeping your mind in your heart, breathing with that idea of bringing the mind back to the heart. So, body is the vehicle for the soul. It is a medium through which a living body does worldly activities. It is destroyable. Basically, our body is composed of compressed energy. Compressed energy responds to vibration. Energy is a very sensitive thing, as we know. We can raise our vibration, release unwanted energy, and alter the nature of our energy through the practices, asanas of conscious breathing, pranayam, pranala, mudra, mantra, chanting, meditation, and affirmation. So it's a consistency of always, you want to call it watering the garden, watering and not nurturing that ability to flow with life through all of these aspects of practices and disciplines. So never make a day go by where you don't apply that conscientious breathing, pranayamic exercises, meditation, chanting, affirmations, mantra work, japa. These things are extremely powerful as a whole for the nurturing of understanding what consciousness truly is and how it sits in the mix of all things. So what is the relation between soul and consciousness? What is an individual soul? Knowledge is proportional to the state of consciousness. So with that being said, knowledge can only be, related to, absorbed in the level of how consciousness is ready to receive that knowledge. So when it's said that you should read a book 6 times, when you should refer to something again, when you should go over something 6 times, is then you start to hear things like, oh, I missed that. Like, how comes I never heard him say that? How comes that certain things that sometimes when you're hearing information is of such that you're only actually looking up to hear things that you understand and tarry up with things that you don't understand and create a new form of understanding to recreate a new form of belief system so it can work in how you internalize new knowledge. Now, sometimes when the new knowledge is completely over your head, you're quicker to say, "Chairman, I'm foolish like that. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't relate." So in that sense, this is where we have to keep revisiting, realigning, revisit. Oh no, me understand. No, me get it. All right. It's Tuesday, you and I talked so fast last time, I never understand what was you really saying. So, and it's something that, as much as I can talk about it, there's nothing more beautiful than the experience that you have from engaging in it. And in the engagement is where everything happens. So I'm giving you as much knowledge from all around the concepts of quarters of where you may ask questions. or be doubtful of the connectivity with the whole picture, and why this is so important with where I'm talking about one of the most cornerstone aspects of your entire spiritual journey, regardless of whatever faith you come follow. And when I say this is above cultural reference, this is more like spiritual maintenance that empowers everything else that you're going to do. And not just in the form of just calling it spiritual maintenance. There's a whole science behind it that conforms and stands up firmly behind what I'm saying. So it's only through experiencing and actually applying that you go, okay, now I get, okay, now I can compartmentalize all these aspects and break it down simply. Now I get it. Now I get it. Because sometimes when I read the slide, him say myself on the slide, and then when him talk now, me understand what him talk about on the slide. So what the stuff on the slide is like a trigger aspect for me to start implanting things in your mind on how consciousness is working with prana, with your desires, with every beat that's going on, with the thoughts that you're not thinking that are worthy of your intention of attention, but you've thought that thought now. Is that you've given it life? It's now taking form of its own shape, and unless you want to, you might think it's a very pedantic level, but it's true. And when you examine this stuff and put it into action on its level of preciseness, you realize it works. That's the only prerequisite that you need to know. If understanding it to this level is worth it, which in one sense is because it raises doubt, and then B, it gives you even more, what's the word, reason as to why you need to stick to it. So it's beyond just something fanatical then. So anyone who has awakened from a dream knows that the dream person that one identified was utterly illusory with no actuality. But if in a nightly dream you are asked, what if you're in a dream, if you are asked, do you have a soul, you might be absolutely certain that one, and what soul definition would be if asked, are you conscious? You might be offended, since it would be obvious that if you are, it would be asked, what are you doing at this exact moment? You would again be astounded at the question, since it would be there in plain sight. Now, this is talking about levels of a dream state. So for instance, if I was to ask you right now, do you have a soul? You'd be asking me, well, of course, what do you mean if I had a soul? Now, the question is, what state is it that I'm asking you? Do you have a soul? Are you awake right now, or are you in a deep sleep? Do you know whether the deeper you're actually in sleep, you're actually awake? And how to actually differentiate when you are not dreaming, knowing that this whole thing is actually a whole dream. Consciousness to be able to relate on any level has to do it through a dream state, through the aspect of what is known as Maya in the form of Vedanta. So no matter how deeper that I ask you the question, are you conscious? You'll be like, what do you mean am I conscious? So if you're conscious, why is it that you cannot control your unconscious being? Why is it that you can only think of or being in operation of one thing at a time? Your conscious self cannot operate more than one thing, one thought at a time, and it can only deal with information at 24 frames per second. This is the conscious mind, and anything outside of 24 frames per second, the conscious mind cannot keep up with, and that's been scientifically proven. However, the subconscious mind is dealing with something much more complex and more finite, like a million trillion bits of information per second. That's the subconscious self. And you can't control that in your conscious state. So that must show you something, that something is topsy-turvy right there. The only way to get in control of that space is not while you think you're actually conscious, because in that space, you're far away from the true nature of the soul. This is the scary bit. So the only time that you can actually quantify any form of true nature of the soul is going in. You have to go in. It's not out. It's not contemplated in the mind. The mind cannot conjure up the presence of the soul. Intellect cannot conjure up the presence of the soul. Once mind, intellect, ego on a rampant go, then it only thinks it knows what it's going on about. When it's whatever it thinks it is at that stage is completely wrong. So it's when you manage to put these, if you want to call it, ideologies of being, you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts, you're not none of these things. What is Sat Chit Ananda? That's prana, consciousness, and electromagnetism at play. So let's dive in. Let's dive in. So there's a whole heap of things there. You can read into that when you get the download. Awareness is beyond consciousness. So again, like I'm saying, a different state. Whatever it is that you consciously are, there's another level of awareness that's in operation beyond your conscious ideology of what's going on. So it is beyond the individuality of what you know as your own soul. It is known as absolute or pure being, Brahman. Identify God the Father, the self, the inner aspects of the yang aspect. The yin aspect is the life energy, the movement of soul, spirit. But the pureness, that thing that knows everything, is that pure being, Brahman. It knows everything. It doesn't have to move. Oh, it doesn't have to evaluate from an emotional point of view, because it is of everything at the core. This is the core principle when they say this is the witness in all. So that Brahmanical aspect, that pure being, is that supreme pureness within you at the core, that is the witness of all that you do, all that you intertwine with, all that feeds the energy for you to become what you ingrain in your path of consistency of being. Now, the more that you move, you're doing your pranic exercises, you're aligning with this pure being aspect within. And that relationship that is now building up is now being established in more of being in the field of awareness than consciousness. And that level of awareness means you're aware of everything more than consciously focused on what it is that you seek. When you become aware, you now become detached. Detachment starts to come into play. And this is, again, nurtured through your breathing, nurturing, bringing the breath home back to the mind and building up awareness. So being is the primal manifestation of awareness. This is the Sat aspect. So let me just move this so I can see this. So being is the primal manifestation of awareness, that which can be symbolized as at the ready, but not yet differentiated in being. So, at the core, there's what is known as Paramatma. Paramatma is the ever pure existence of being. The next level of existence is the Atma or Atman, which is the cosmic aspect, which is an expression of Paramatma, but where the Paramatma is the supreme and there can only be one, the aspect of not yet ready but not yet differentiated in being is where you can see yourself as one with Paramatma. So you're ready to express yourself as a life force, but not separate from that which gives all life. You're in full correlation of spirit. So there is a part of you that knows of this relation that I'm speaking of, consistently knows. It's when you now bring other higher aspects of intelligence into focus with it. Now there's what you call the tridoshic experience or the mind, body, soul connection experience, when that inner truth lines up with the self-expectancy of the moment, and the super soul expresses and completes the chain. So there's the wondering you, there's the knowing you, and then there's the supreme you. So, being loses its status as pure consciousness. So and becomes individual souls by becoming relative consciousness. That is, it loses its innocence and identifies with ego and starts making mistakes immediately. This is the activity of duality. Being begins to sort out its sentient entities. And this is how individual souls come into play, known as Jiva Atmans now, Jiva Shaktis. These are the ones that are, we are all expressions of Jiva Shaktis, because somewhere along the line, we've completely forgotten the identity of pureness and the relative lack of that perception gives us the yearning to want to search through all kinds of senses to find back that what we naturally are, when we don't need to actually be swimming through the pool of mud. All we need to do is actually just refer back in. The process is going inwards towards this. So the more that we put our energies outwards, we become more and more lost. So how we lose our status as pure consciousness, like I explained one time before. No, actually, it wasn't in this, it's a big question in the conversation of where do souls come from? And why do souls entangle themselves with this realm? And the quickest way that I found to answer it was because the nature of the soul is all loving and we all emanate from an all loving place. There must have been a place where, not to say that we've forgotten the nature of the love, but we was out of alignment with the core of the nature of the love. So much so that, imagine, so you have a light, a torch, and the torch emanates this light all the way into the night sky. And you can imagine the torch, the core of the torch of the light is penetrated with pure light. It's beaming up strong. And that's if you can imagine, that's the spiritual light emanating from the spiritual skies. Now, as the torch goes up further and further and further, it starts to dissipate in its light because of the strength of the battery, or so forth, because of the strength of the light. Now, at this stage, the light photons at this stage become, what's the word? Indifferentiated in which way to go. This way or that way? Should we be light or should we be not? And should we stay light? Should we stay dark? What should we do? Now at that stage, because of the lack of electromagnetism to stay in the realm of the light, that atom, that subparticle, the atoms there, whatever, is now behaving to more go into the dark. So in this sense, such is consciousness in the realm of how it's expressed so wide and far and outwards, and in the space of consistent what's the word, manifestation, both on the material and spiritual realm, and consciousness doing that individually and collectively. There was a point when we came as a whole to become individualized, where there was a point of our existence on the spiritual plane where we came to that point where the indifferentiated balance towards stick to the divine love or experience a material existence was our choice, and we chose to pick a material existence to try only to find ourselves hunting to go and get back to the core of what the light is. And the blessing is that when we come back, we don't come back to the essence of where we came from, but we come back deeper into the core of all life, which is in one sense described as the spiritual benefit that mankind has over angels. Anyway, let's keep it moving. So we see no matter what, we see that no matter the state of consciousness, soul is always an expression of individuality, despite levels of sets of truths being so otherwise different. Relative consciousness ever changes through awareness, though awareness never does. Relative consciousness ever changes where awareness never does. Soul wavers from yin to yang, identity is unaffected. So again, soul is where you're expressing yourself. Super soul is always present in the truth, always knows the truth. It's always coming from the present point of truth. So, and now you know even less than before you began dreaming, and by that I mean reading these words, relative knowledge gained is more of the same pile, higher and deeper. I've added to your ignorance now. You are now more likely to read another essay by me. See how devolution works. Now, instead, escape to the self within. I'd say do a half an hour meditation at least a day. That will wash off the mud and pouring and paving the way that's left all over your halo, your magnificence of being. So instead of getting yourself involved in just consistently reading and consistently, because this is one of the things that we suffer with in the West, we take on too much information to think about more than actually doing the thing itself. So make sure that you commit to at least half an hour of meditative practice, and you're going to be creating a charge within you. And let's have a look at the specifics of this, what this whole idea of what the charge is. So in the trinity of prana, tejas, and ojas, tejas creates ojas, and ojas protects prana. All three are inherent, connected, and depend on each other. An increase or decrease in one will affect the other. Building awareness on the subtle energies will help you listen to your body better and make the best choices for better health and harmony. When prana is in its optimal flow, we experience great health and harmony with an abundance of energy and vitality. If prana becomes blocked, deficient, or excessive health issues will arise. So that is kind of self-explanatory. The more that you engage with this whole idea of being subtly connected on an inner thought level and listen to your body, listen to the impulses of your body, you're going to be led to take action on things, ways of lifestyles that now enhance the flow of prana in your body and to start to create, unblock parts of your vortexes that has been blocked for a very long time. In the sense of the ojas. The ojas is the final expression that keeps the body alive. The thing that makes the body increase in making more ojas is the amount of quality air that you're breathing in. The amount of quality air that you're breathing in is what's giving your tejas ability to produce the machinery to get the whole thing going. So without that conscious effort to breathe on a conscious level, you're allowing tiredness to bring to take over your body and not allowing the prana to be at its optimal flow. And that's the difference between just normal breathing and conscious breathing. So when you're conscious breathing, you're consciously allowing the pranic aspect of the air that you breathe in that moment to be of more benefit to you as a whole. So, and this is where it even starts to get expansive now, because ultimately we are light. Prana is light. Everything is energy. Everything is light. It's coming and emanating from a life form, a life source, a life, an expression of an energy signature, which can be measured in its form of light. So even though we can't see the air that we're breathing, the reason why we can't see is because the light is too bright for it's above the ratio of what the sensitivity of frequencies that the eyeballs can see. We can't see it. But it's pure light. So Jyotish, which means light, Jyotisha, which means light, such as that of the sun or the moon or heavenly body. The term Jyotisha includes the study of astronomy, astrology, and the science of timekeeping using the elements of astronomical bodies. The term is derived from Sanskrit, where it means the science of heavenly bodies, although it is sometimes interpreted differently as the science of light. Now you may be thinking, hold on, wasn't we just talking about prana? How we reach to astronomy and everything? Everything is correlated. There's nothing that is left out. You can't overlook nothing. Ayurveda is correlated. Pranaya is all correlated. Everything, and this is the beauty about Vedanta. Like it's all correlated. It's not this, but that. But yeah, but you can go another. Yeah, but it's you can drink alcohol when you're not a God church. It's all right. You're good because the pastor now see you, and because you're not praying at that time, it's all right. You can drink a Guinness. No. Holistic means everything is related. Everything relates to something in something else. Otherwise, it's pointless. It doesn't mean nothing. So, ultimately, prana, astrology, energy management, light, it's all correlated. Life force. You're a light within the universe. You're a point of reference in the universe. You're a point of reference where anything in the universe can be found through you. But how much are you aligned with that? So in many ways, astrology is the mother of all sciences. Astrology uses scientific knowledge about the heavenly bodies, along with other scientific tools such as star charts, to predict the future. Both astrology and numerology are used to generate expectations about events that may happen in the future. Why am I even saying this? There's a whole mathematical science down to counting the effects and the qualities of life determined to how many breaths you took for that day. You create a whole new astrological advantage or disposition just based on how many breaths you took that day. When we're talking about willpower or changing your destiny and all of these things, it starts with your breathing. When you can get your breathing right, you become astrologically correct in the sense of how you can move like a shooting star through all of your circumstances, all your predispositions. So why is this that I'm talking about it? Because astrology is going to tie up. Astrology and astronomy were archaically treated together. Latin astrologia. And this is about looking at the aspects of how energy is played in the universe. Astro means light. Logia means the logics of light. What are we at the end of the day? What is consciousness? Light. So it adds to, there's a bigger play than what just separating each thing as each, branch and ism and all of this. The names and the titles that came later is, again, the Western world interfering with everything. Let's stick a name on that. Let's call that Bladaism. Let's call that Sikhism. Let's call that Pladism. Let's call that Blinglongdeism. That's, John, what's his name? What's his name again? I forgot his name. Boris Johnson has come up with a new one. It's called rhubarbism. When he says, that's all rhubarb, right? Rhubarbism. Every minute there's a new ism and schism that's going on. So, so during the late part of the medieval period, astronomy was treated as the foundation upon which astrology could operate. So again, it was deciphering and breaking down and watering down. So the behind the science of astronomy and astrology, there's another current which is known as astrotheology, astromysticism, astroreligion, astral and stellar theology, also referred to as astral or star worship, is the worship of the stars, individually or together as the night skies, the planets and other heavenly bodies as deities, or the association of deities with heavenly bodies. In anthropological literature, these systems of practice may be referred to as astral cults. Listen, we roll on. The most common instance of this are sun gods and moon gods in polytheistic systems worldwide. Also notable is the association of the planets with deities in Babylonian, and hence in Greco-Roman religion. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, gods, goddesses, and demons may also be considered personifications of astronomical phenomena such as lunar eclipses, planetary alignments, and apparent interactions of planetary bodies with stars. So all of these things were read in the past by astrologians advising kings of things that was happening. So much things. So the Sabians were known for their astrotheology as an astral cult. Watch where it's going. The term astrotheology was first used in the context of the 18th to the 19th century scholarship, aiming at the discovery of the original religion, particularly primitive monotheism. Astrotheology is an early religious system founded upon the observation of the heavens, and in particular may be monotheistic. More recently, the term astrotheology is used by Jan Ivan, Jordan Maxwell, and Andrew Rutajic in 2006 in reference to the earliest known forms of religion and nature worship, advocating the entheogean theory of the origin of religion. So the roots of astrotheology comes from understanding its primary principle of divine oneness. And how is this divine oneness expressed in a yin-yang correlation, red-blue correlation. And why is it that wherever the red is, the blue is there? Wherever the blue is there, the red is there, the neutral and the live. You know, why are they, what is this dance going on? Astro light theology. What is the nature of light, true light? You know, there's light that we see, then there's black light that we don't see, but that black light is the core of all, you know, that's the highest thing that even now today, they're still beating their head up in science about its justification and proof, because understanding the nature of black light and then having to have white light so we can see black light, or what we consider as darkness, which is a veil of darkness, is only a veil so we cannot see a realm of existence. That's what's happening in the darkness. It's a veil. So this is where it starts to really get deep now, because electricity is the flow of electric power or charge. It is a secondary energy source, which means that we get it from the conversion of other source or energy like coal, nature gas, oil, nuclear power, and other natural sources, which are called primary sources. Electricity, by definition, is the movement of electrons within the molecules of material. What does that mean spiritually? Electric charges in space can be held responsible for a dielectric shift in the ether. The result of the dielectric displacement is a static electric field. Electric charges polarize ether. What does this tell us? The natural constant in vacuum is this physical phenomenon is the dielectric susceptibility. What is Tarun going on about? What I am going on about, this is deep. Consciousness mixing with the flow of electricity allows the phenomenon of conductivity to take place. And in the form of conductivity taking place, this is deep stuff. In the form of conductivity taking place, we can conduct an orchestral state of being where we can allow energies to behave in a concoction of mannerisms to form the human body and create layers of existence within and around. Because every department, every vein is creating a level of conducted resistance to another level of energy between. And this is a dielectric signature. This is what's making a magnetic, electromagnetic field come into play, which is all controlled by your pranic quality. This is deep stuff. I've gone into deep man mode now. Deep man mode in understanding the electric science of what is going on from a quantum cellular level, in understanding what's happening on a quantum cellular level with the electric charges that you take in with each end, with each breath, and how they polarize. And when I say polarize, polarizing is finding its opposite nature in terms of it comes in unmanifest and it ends up coming a part of your manifested being. It comes a part of being your manifested state. It makes you allow your body to exist for another manifested moment. So you're feeding the whole creation of existence by your breathing, not just to breathe for breath's sake, but for anchoring so many different levels of electromagnetic pulses within your being to stay stable in either growing or destroying your life. Now, to grow and transcend means to be able to stay in a consistent pattern of breathing, stabilized. Whew. Electromagnetism is a branch of physics involving the study of the electromagnetic force. This type of physical interaction that occurs between electrically charged particles. Electricity and magnetism are the two related phenomena produced by the electromagnetic force. Together, they form electromagnetism. A magnetic field induces electric charge movement. So, a magnetic field induces electric charge movement, producing an electrical current. In an electromagnetic wave, the electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to one another. So this is, in one sense, when you hear the term as within, so without, at the core, the magnetic field of play that is happening within you, you're creating a request to the magnetic field outside of you. So when you say as within, so without, this is how you're creating that level of magnetism between the electric current of flow through mind activity. This is how the magnetic field is now perpendicular in the way to attract into your field of awareness things that is that gland that I was speaking of last week that's at the back of your brain. The reticular gland that's consistently looking for and proving itself to be right in the moment of what it's seeking. Now, the fact that you're seeking, again, you're operating on a level of being conscious. When you're not seeking, you're now on an operation of awareness. And in that space of awareness, the magnetic field dissolves. It's almost like when Matrix, the guy Matrix now can see behind the thing, and he can see, sense, and register information in a whole new pattern and a whole new. So consciousness, the mind operations of how it manages consciousness is the thing to look out for. And the only way to, the way to lock it down, to change that magnetic field behavior, that your biometric agreement with the universe, is through regulative breathing. I have to keep anchoring it back because I'm showing you how many things in the universe all around that's scientifically proven, and it's going to come up right now. Does the human body have an electromagnetic field? We all know this already, but I'm really just thinking and making the penny drop. So tiny electrical currents exist in the human body due to the chemical reactions that occur as part of the normal body functions. Even in the absence of external electric fields, there's still electricity in the body that is emanating. They cause current to flow through the body to the ground. Low frequency magnetic fields include circulating currents within the human body. So there's a connection between you and Mother Earth. You're not going to feel it. You don't even relate to it because we don't walk in nature as much as we do. You know, we've got our shoes on, which is rubber, which is another form of conduct that knocks out that communication between the earthing of Mother Earth and the low frequency, which is 60 hertz. That we're now starting to get that healing frequency, and that, you know, even with that connection, mind starts to behave itself. All these things start to ground itself. You know, you start to find that the Shakti, the life energy within you, the prana, starts to move and behave differently. Like, for instance, when you go for a walk in the sand on a nice sunny day, and you just feel yourself free up, and you're just nice and easy now. You know, I have no contradictions or thoughts going on. Everything's running smooth. Everything's beautiful. When you're doing this under a certain influence of meditation, you're charging your inner aspects of divine relativity to who you are, to increase quicker, to bring about a more stable ideology of that person that loves themselves consistently 24/7, and then allows yourself to be that and magnetize only that in your world, making that you are now walking a path of least resistance because you're staying firmly in that zone. So electromagnetic fields influence metabolic processes in the human body and exerts various biological effects on cells through a range of mechanisms. Electromagnetic fields disrupts the chemical structures of tissues, since a high degree of electromagnetic energy absorption can change the electric current in the body. And this can be something as simple as a conversation, or argument. You know, everything we do lets off an electric signal. Everything that we absorb is energy. We're absorbing that energy, interpreting that energy, and it's creating another energy imbalance. It's a disruption to our energy. When people talk about energy, this is when they get insensitive to their own electromagnetic field. And in that electromagnetic field, once you start getting into managing the light field that emanates from the heart, you know, the light field that emanates from the heart can be picked up from the furthest of all the energy fields. That can be picked up 30 to 40 feet, I think, minimum, probably maybe 100. I mean, just tap into Google the electromagnetic field of the heart, and they have the ability to sense and pick it up with electromagnetic equipment today. It's a proven science, it's not a joke. They can detect the life force, the signature of a heart, from a very good distance. I can't remember, so I'm not going to give you the exact distance, but I know this to be true. So the cause of all illness is found in the body field. Where information is blocked or distorted, so is the affected area in the way of where your body connects at a very cellular level. So the blockages are going to be all over, where you're going to see a light disturbance of a flow of energy, of prana, of how you're managing. Or for instance, when they say, boy, I feel lower back pain, this is when they say, well, you're thinking about money in the wrong way too much, and it's storing that energy in the back pain on your lower part, because you're starting to lose comfort, lose or become insane to the idea of stability and support because of lack of money. So lack normally tends to affect the spine and so forth, and this is where you get a lot of but yeah, there's a whole science to it, in understanding how blockages are light blockages in your energy center in your system, whether it's with an organ, whether it's with a nadi center. You've got, like I said, there's 72,000 nadis that I have been taught to understand how they flow. And out of the primary ones that are really important to pay attention to is the Ida Nadi and the Pingala Nadi and the Sushumna Nadi, which in nourishing these ones on a daily basis starts to affect and bring about a powerful healing presence in the body that allows the body to heal, where you don't need to go to the lengths of GPs, this, that, the other. It's actually the prana doing the healing, because of now you're unblocking it. You're blocking, you're creating, you're unblocking it from a deeper level, which is flushing out the body, because everything is electric pulses. The more that you can understand that you're managing light by managing thought. By managing thought is by giving it a higher level, or a more appropriate level of conscious quality, in terms of having love for your thoughts, having love for the process of thinking, having love for where you're sending those thoughts, or when you're breathing in. Remember the divine inner love that dwells. And this is all feeding the energy to flow within you better on all levels. It's healing everything consistently on a holistic. It's dealing with healing the whole in one, instead of taking a medicine for this and may have some giant pain for that and arthritis and la-di-da and blah-di-da-di-da. The key secret to start to unblock all of these things is to really lock in on a disciplined pranic exercise. So this energy of yin yang, red and blue, Ida, Pingala, this is what creates the human aura. The human aura is the invisible field of electromagnetic energy. And in ancient times, we have seen pictures and paintings of different spiritual leaders across various traditions. But one thing that is in common among all of them is that halo that surrounds their head, which is known as the aura or energy field. It not only surrounds just the head, but also extends all around the body. This aura represents your physical, mental, emotional, as well as spiritual energies. The aura is often seen as a fixed or seen a mix of fine colored frequencies, normally to the ones that are present in the chakra system, which is again, it's the same colors that are present in the rainbow, where each color defines its own individual nature and characteristics. The vibration of this aura is very fine and subtle, so we need very fine instruments to detect it, or perhaps we can use our inborn intuitive mechanism and our latent psychic potential to train ourselves, not only to see the aura, but also to interpret the different colors and shapes in which aura can reveal to us in a lot of unsaid information. So again, it's a level of clairvoyance where just in the instance of seeing and sensing something, you get so much information about it in a split second. It takes you more time to dissect the information that you got just that in that split second download from a psychic moment occurring. And all of these things, again, they're latent abilities within us. There's these things that you'd find these things starting to happen. If they're not starting to happen to you yet, then you're going to find it definitely. And the only reason why it wouldn't be starting to happen to you yet in all that we've been doing so far is because you're not consistent with the work. You're not being disciplined in applying it daily. And in that sense, once you start to apply it daily, these things will prove themselves to come up in your way of life as a everyday norm. Because again, when you're working at a level of high frequency processing and thinking of information, because again, once you be able to sense from the auric field, you're sensing somewhere that, again, which I'm saying is from a place that's higher than thought, the existence of thought, because these things has to happen on these realms before thought can acquire or happen in your mind. Very deep. So in scientific research, we have found that the aura is electromagnetic, is an electromagnetic field of energy that extends all around our body for about 4 to 5 feet in all average healthy bodies, and appears to be depleted in cases of unhealthy person. So if you're not unhealthy, your electromagnetic field is diminishing, it's shrinking, it's depleted. So the aura of a person is directly connected to the health, to the level of health of a person. A person is considered to be healthy in terms of physical vitality, mental clarity, emotional well-being, as well as highly positive spiritual energies. So a person who is healthy at all of these levels has a bigger and brighter aura, and vice versa. In the case of an unhealthy person, the aura would be less pronounced. It'll be more diminished. It's almost like you got the light switch, the dim switch turned down. There's a flatness. There's a there's a dulling of the soul, because even though the soul shines brighter than 10 million suns, what's perverting the ideology of seeing what the soul is our disposition of what we think our experience of life is all about. We're missing out on the joy of the moment, and this way we're forcefully bringing on a different level of identification, and this wrong level of identification starts to bring discoloration to our aura. So our auras normally represent how we truly feel about ourselves in a given moment. It doesn't have to, you don't have to say a word. It's all said in the aura. The aura is the signature of what's been finalized as your predetermined expectation of life, what you want from the universe. It's your final, you know, so by the time it's reached the aura, it's starting to complete the circle of that everlasting loop of between consciousness and the universal state of affairs, that electromagnetic field where it starts to become familiar with what it is that you express that you are. So when you're expressing yourself from lack, your aura is lacking, and you will only develop lack more and more in your life, to the point where only lack is prominent, and you focus on the lack. You're not aware of the greatness other than the lack. So the way to dissolve that is get with the breathing, get with the meditation, get with the consistency of growth, get with the what do I call it, the discipline, and most of all, get with the sincerity of it, because that's what's going to really make the difference. Don't do it from the point of thinking, I have to do it because I have to do it, and if I don't do it, then nothing is going to change in my life. Do it with true sincerity towards the process, knowing that good will come through it. Do it with great expectation from doing it, as doing it for the joy of it, knowing that something good will come out of it, but not knowing that something good will come from it, but don't look for the attachment of something specific of it. Just be in that state of ready to create joy, so joy can be given back to you in return, basically. So, and all of these things are the signature of a healthy aura. So scientists and researchers today all around the globe have confirmed that the matter which appears to be solid in reality is not true. This solid looking matter is actually made of pure energy, which is vibrating at a specific frequency, which gives matter properties like shape, size, texture, and so on. These solid looking objects like a pen, book, and even the molecules, atoms, and cells in our bodies, for that matter, are actually made up of vibratory energy particles called electrons, protons, neutrons, and furthermore, tiny particles. So when these particles vibrate in their nucleus, a small electrical impulse is generated in our body, and according to the famous law of physics, when there is an electrical field around the body, a magnetic field gets developed automatically. A magnetic field gets developed automatically. Key point. That magnetic field is your thought field. You're magnetizing to your existence that which you focus on. So you're creating a cycle of energetic movement of energy with prana, with thought, and on a physical level, the electricity that you're engaging in is creating a thought of magnetism, not just about that there's a field. It's actually magnetic. It's magnetizing to you literally what it is you're thinking about. So if it's fair, it's fair. If it's anything that's disproportionate to what Satchitananda is, it's going to be suffering. So the best thing to magnetize yourself to is Paramatma. Because anything that's on, only then now will that magnetic field operate on that basis, where now it's magnetizing Paramatma type qualities, experiences, best of the best. So you have to understand that your thoughts are magnets. They're electrical, impulsive magnets. They're not just the electrical pulse that just happened. They're all magnetic fields. You are a big magnetic field, which is managed by your breathing, by your pranic state, your pranic expression. So the tiny electrical impulses in our body result into the formation of the magnetic field around our body, which is actually known as the aura, electromagnetic field of the body. Since everything in this universe is made up of the same constituent particles, electrons, protons, neutrons, etc., that means everything has an aura. And if we keep on expanding these so-called elementary particles, we reach a point where we find nothing but pure energy vibrating at the very essence of these solid-looking objects. And that energy vibration is Om, because everything is consistently So everything in this physical universe is nothing but energy, which connects to everything in the universe. And it's that which makes the electromagnetic principle even more profound in understanding how electromagnetic your thoughts are, how electromagnetic your emotions are, how electromagnetic your physiological management of thoughts, emotions, all of these things, and discipline to bring yourself back to joy, that discipline to do that, and what it will do for you in your electromagnetic field of play in your universe, and your ability to transcend issues, problems, health issues, so many things that would aspire out of, not just on a personal level, but on, because everything, you ever hear that saying, everything is everything, how you do anything is how you do everything, because everything is connected to everything. That's including anything. But if you don't have anything in order, then it will affect everything else. So the only one thing to get in order that will connect and make everything else get into order is your breathing, followed by your meditation, followed by your consistent daily walk of remembering to rechannel that breath and command the breath to bring the mind back home. So spiritually, we can say that our aura is our very own soul nature. It reflects our innermost desires and feelings, emotions, etc. Aura is the layer of energy which interconnects all subtle bodies and also acts like a shield, covering and protecting our more refined subtle bodies, like the mental body, emotional, and spiritual and astral bodies. So, like for our physical body to survive and maintain its health, oxygen plays a vital role for our existence. Similarly, the pranic forces, which are commonly called prana, is the subtle energy that is required by our more refined bodies to function and maintain a good health. So if we want our bodies to absorb oxygen properly from the environment, we should keep our lungs healthy, thereby keeping our physical body healthy. Similarly, if we want our subtle bodies to function properly and to absorb the pranic energies properly, we need to keep our aura healthy. And how do we keep our aura healthy? By charging it with fresh prana. And this is done by pranic exercise on a regular basis. When you do the pranic exercise, you're automatically clearing out the blockages that are stopping your aura from emanating properly. When you clear out the blockages, even for a moment, when you clear out the blockages, that aura emanating properly sends out a different electromagnetic pulse to the universe in that split second to create another similar situation. So you've broken the level of calcification of being stuck in a level of groove for that process of being in life. So the more you do your pranayamic exercises, you're breaking up the arrangement that you have that keeps you in a biological rhythm that is stuck without growth. So oxygen being the key component here in terms of supplying the body with proper oxygen through deep breathing. Like our physical bodies, we do regular exercise to keep it healthy and working. We should also practice some form of energy exercise, which regulates the proper flow of pranic energies in our subtle bodies. Because the more that we charge these things, we're taking out the argument of which came first, the chicken or the egg. And what do I mean by that? Because sometimes we're waiting for our emotional bodies to set a trend for the day. Rather than if we charge that emotional body with fresh prana, then the emotional body will set the charge to look for joy for the day. Without the prana, it's going to look for you to be miserable for the day. So again, with all these subtle bodies and how they affect you emotionally, intellectually, the ability to focus, pay attention, level of awareness, without prana, these things will automatically function poorly. And in that poor state of being, it's only going to produce more and more and more states of poor reaction, poor cognitive reasoning, poor emotions, poorness of state of being. So most of the times we just get stuck in that place and completely forget, stop, do some breathing, do a little bit of breathing exercise. And we know enough whether it's going to be a Alom Vilom, breath of life, Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, whatever. There's a whole plethora of them to practice that we can literally just stop to do for 2 to 3 minutes and tap up all these levels of connectivity from a physical, emotional, mental, physiological, charge up the body, and also give the body awareness, the body cells its proper chance to regulate the digestive cells, the ability for all the cellular levels to give life to all the different the trillions of cells that are in your body to come alive and do something in the moment and be present with that new charge of oxygen. So you need to be really thinking about cultivating a program that at least substantiates, don't miss out on less than half an hour a day on doing pranayamic work to sustain longevity for the future and clarity of mind and body and being for the rest of your time. So scientific research done on the aura, human bioenergy field. Today, with the development of high-tech electronic gadgets and instruments, which are able to detect the fine, subtle vibrations of our surroundings, it has become possible for us to actually capture a glimpse of the human aura. The research on capturing this subtle energy field through electronic instruments was started by Seaman Kirlian. Remember I told you about the Kirlian camera? There's loads of them now that you can actually go now and get your auric picture taken. Who accidentally discovered that if an object on a photographic plate is connected to a source of high voltage, small corona charges created by the strong electric field at the edges of the object create an image on the photographic plate. As soon after his research developed, the Kirlian camera was done, through which scientists were able to photograph the electromagnetic field around our fingers. It was found that objects which are not alive do not change parameters of their aura more than 2%. Living objects, however, can change their aura field dramatically and quickly. This provides scientists with unique tools to study physics of life and consciousness using bioelectrography. For example, Professor Bunsen in Russia found that the response in Kirlian aurea seems to proceed, appear as soon or earlier than electric processes in the brain during a decision-making process. Did you get that? Let me read that for Professor Bunsen in Russia found that the response in Kirlian aura seems to appear as soon as or earlier than electrical processes in the brain during a decision-making process. So that means things are happening on an auric level before it happens on the brain level. From his research presented in 2001 at the International Congress, Science, Information, Spirit in St. Petersburg, it seems that a thought appears in the aura before an electrical activity can be detected in the brain. Is our consciousness electrophotonic to begin with? So that means the light, electrophotonic now, is gone to a higher state of being. It's a higher state of frequency. And this electrophotonic energy of what prana is doing and what's happening in your aura is happening before you even consciously think about it. So the only way that you can control it is to put it out. You have to put a signal out in order to control what's coming in. Otherwise, you don't, again, you're stuck in that place of what came first, the chicken or the egg. Is it what I'm thinking or is it what I'm thinking? Am I creating the thought that I'm thinking now, or am I creating the thought? Or is that thought creating me? What is creating the idea of the thought that I'm thinking? Where am I now? When am I in control? You're in control when you're breathing in and thinking in. If that principle isn't established, if you're breathing out and thinking in, you're not in control. If you're breathing out and thinking in to try and control the outside world, then you're really insane. But if you're breathing in and you're thinking in, now you have a chance to get in the loop. So by the time you put that in and you put that in, that decision-making process is now creating a loop that what's going to come from your auric field is supportive of the vibration that you're in. Deep, very deep. You must be thinking, boy, Tyrone gone really deep tonight. We don't even know if we can keep up. Well, keep up, because now I'm showing you how the whole thing, the whole loop, the eternal loop is now keeping up what is keeping up through that yin-yang principle of thinking, thought, that Pingala Ida aspect of what's happening through the rhythm of the breathing that is keeping up in your being. How smooth is your life? How smooth is your breathing? That's it. How smooth is your life? How smooth is your breathing? Get your breathing right, life will become right. That yin-yang pulse, that connectivity with breath and life, it's all with the breathing, the smoothness. How smooth is your life? How smooth is your breathing? What you put in is going to come back out on you in your aura for you to continue on the flow of vibration that you're in. And the whole of the universe is playing the game with you. But it's you in control. And the way how you control is by controlling what's going in. Not by what you're putting out, what you're putting in. Very deep. So all living objects show continuous change in their aura. A major series of experiments of a team of scientists coordinated by Professor in Petersburg, Russia again, demonstrated that aura of the human body continues to change continuously for almost exactly 72 hours after clinical death. All living objects show continuous changes in their aura. A major series of experiments demonstrates that the aura of the human body continues to change continuously for almost 72 hours after clinical death. So after the body's dead, the aura is still in a form of entanglement. The life force of the energy is now of its own. It seems that among other things, not only the time, but also the reason for death can be determined on the basis of these changes. It is interesting to note that in nearly every culture on earth, for centuries, people observe a 3-day period between which the death of the body and the burial. It seems that our wise ancestors knew much more about life and death and we can even manage today. And if you know, even in the Muslim tradition today now, they like to bury their loved ones that pass, you know, on the 3rd day or no later than the 4th day. Like it has to be, you know, because of this very same thing on which they really adhered to on the esoteric path of Islam. So the different levels of aura in the human energy system. I'm not even going to read through all of this, but I'm just going to fly through the main stuff. It's all there for you. You can read that one there when you get the thing. But to sense the rest of the 4 bodies, we can make use of the sensitive electronic equipment like Kirlian cameras, as suggested before. So we're just overviewing the depth of the information. But what I want to do is go through the actual bodies where these things are present and can be known. So the physical body, as we all know, this body contains all the physical organs and nerve system called cells, molecules, atoms, and so on, which are like the building blocks for our physical existence. These organs carry out the necessary functions of our bodies, like purifying the blood and supplying it to the various parts of the body, respiration, digestion, so forth. For the survival and proper function of this body, we need good supply of oxygen as well. Due to the electrical activity at this level, usually the first layer of our aura is formed, and it appears as a thin, milky vibration energy emanating from the body. Emotional body. In this second layer, hold on. 1 second. Phone battery just it. Right. Emotional body. In this second layer of the aura, which is known as the emotional body, we store up our emotional responses, namely of love, hatred, jealousy, envy, forgiveness, loneliness, sad, etc. Whenever we encounter something in our physical reality, i.e. the physical layer, the conscious mind quickly analyzes the situation on the second layer of the aura based on our memories, beliefs, and experiences, and triggers a response corresponding to the situation which is accessed from our emotional layer. So this is how we end up repeating what we normally do in the past, because we're caught up very emotionally where we are. And this is related to even our second chakra. For example, a person shouts at you now. In your past, if you had a memory of your dad shouting at you and you began to cry like a baby, sobbing and complaining about it, rather than to change or clarify the situation. As soon as you encounter this situation, your conscious mind quickly accesses the memory stored in your mental body, and the triggers and emotional responses of that situation is either crying or complaining or clarifying the situation. So you're just stuck in a loop. The biggest loop carrying vehicle that you have is your emotional one that's caught up with past experiences. This is where it's stored. The emotions is where most of us need to get dissolved, cleared out, so the energy can flow freer, so we can reach to a place of courage where we can act beyond our emotions. This is the trick, because our emotions almost, it's not to become emotionless, but we have to become more than what our emotions can bear as a level of because it's our belief structures that are protecting our emotions. And regardless of whether we think we are right or wrong, it's our emotions that bring about that sense of fight or flight. So again, mental body. In this third layer of the aura, which is called the mental body, we store all our past experiences, memories, and belief patterns. The conscious mind usually operates on this level, continuously analyzing the situation as per our belief systems, memories, past experience, etc., and then finally accepting or rejecting the situation. This is where the monkey mind comes into play. This is where we try to rationalize things. So the rationality of how the mind is behaving is then creates an impression on the emotional body on how to respond. So it's right, this is almost like trying to work out the me, myself, and I. Who's the critic? Who's right? The mental, the emotional, and the truth is they're all wrong. We'll get to that. It does not changes very frequently, and the different memories, experience, and beliefs are stored in form of small crystalline energy forms, which can be observed physically, and we can also access them to reveal the hidden personality traits of an individual. The mental body stores everything with triggers to quickly activate the emotions, positive or negative, connected to that pattern which we are experiencing. And this is what science is telling us, that these things that can be seen as small crystalline energies, energetic like things in your energy fields. You can see it. Crazy. Spiritual body. This is called the fourth layer of our aura, which is like a giant storehouse of information of our past, present, and future deeds. This is the layer in which aura stores all our karma, sanchita, and vanshik. Sanchit karmas are those which you have already committed in your previous lifetimes, and you are now reaping the outcomes of them. Vanshik karmas are those which you are committing in this lifetime, and you will reap the outcome in this life or the next time, depending on the lesson and the aim of your life. Now, I said before that there's 3 stages of karma. And Sanchita and Vanshik are basically matured karma and premature karma. Matured karma is ready to represent itself and come about in your auric field. It's going to represent itself as a part of your ongoing process of creating your experience, all that you think that you are. Vanshik is the aspect of premature karma, the thing that you're generating now. So to be in control of that which you intend to experience, intend to become, this is the part of the karmic thing that you hearken on to if you want to change your destiny. If you want to bring about free will into the play of your destiny. Destiny is when you don't have control of the outcome and you're just assisting your being in terms of just breathing along with life and allowing the outcome to happen. Free will is when you change that relationship around and take control of the Vanshik aspect. And the more that you get solidified in managing the flow from this part, then it starts to affect the Sanchita aspect. So now you're deliberately changing the flow and the quality of your karma to reap. And that is all done by the vibration that you intend to have in the moment, not the vibration that you expect to have, the vibration that you intend to have. So once you're intending to be content, to be of joy, and all of these things, then this is what's going to ultimately affect your Sanchita to perform in the alignment of your Vanshik and speedily overcome the pathways of what would be your destiny if your breathing was out of sync. So this is how you bring healing into not only the physical body, but healing into your spiritual life force, life path as well, your whole flow of experience of life and outcome, your expectations to life's outcomes. This is all based on solidifying your breathing pattern, your respect for breath, your respect for your process and discipline to pranayama. So again, with the spiritual body, whatever has been done cannot be undone. So we have to bear the outcomes of our Sanchita karmas. But if we all can be aware of our karmas, we can minimize our negative karmas that we do every day as we live our lives. In Bhagavad Gita, it said that even a negative thought about someone is taken as karma, although the degree of that karma is less than the actual action. So even if we think positive and bless others, we are in a way generating more of positive karmas. And as the saying goes, whatever you are feeling inside, you will attract outside. By accessing this layer, we can learn about the life lessons to the individual and also the degree of his positive and negative karmas. So aligning with that inner work, that inner process of doing inner work with your breathing. Let's look at the last final aspects to see how it all ties up beautifully. Astral body. This is the fifth layer of our aura, which is also known as the etheric body, or sometimes the etheric double or the etheric template, because it's often seen as the exact blueprint. When we said that what's the opposite phenomena where they're the same, the exact blueprint of our physical body. Like we have a heart, 2 lungs, 2 kidneys in our physical body, we have in the exact same, the number of organs in our astral body, but on a subtle level form. Since all energy work is based on top to bottom approach, i.e. energy follows from a higher end to a lower end. So again, sickness happens in the mind first. Sickness happens in our bodies on an energetic level first. The easiest way to address these things and bring them all into alignment, you're gonna hear me say it, is with your meditation and with your breathing. So even if the physical organ is removed from the physical body, its energy imprint is always there in the astral body. Most of the healing which is intended to be seen on the physical body is first received on this layer. The healing is done on the intended parts of the astral body, and then a new energy imprint or the information is transferred down to each of the lower body till it reaches the physical body. Can you understand the deepness of that? It happens on a etheric level first. For instance, when someone is sending pranic healing, or they're sending the energy to the etheric counterpart of the physical so it's like if you want to send healing person, if you want to send healing to a person, you can't see them as sick in your mind and say, oh God, I can see you sick, I hope you get well. No, you got to see them well in your mind. You got to see them well and send them that energy in a wellness state. So when their astral body receives that message of wellness, that then transpires and sends down to their physical counterpart to act according to the level of faith of those prayers that was sent in seeing that person well. So again, very important to really look at the really delicate aspects of wellness of mind, wellness of thought, wellness of energy that we're not only putting on ourselves, but sending out to others in that process of healing. So, for example, in the case when we practice psychic surgery, we are actually carrying out the surgery on the astral body of the person. Once the blocks are removed, then the new energy information of health is conveyed down through each subsequent bodies till it reaches the physical body. So astral, then it goes to the mental, which is the metaphysical, then it goes to the emotional body, then to the physical body. So it kind of sets its vibration in. Now, boy, I'm kind of, I don't know what it is, I start to feel well, I just feel well, then the body starts to behave accordingly. So, yeah, deep stuff. So once the blocks are removed, then the new energy information of health is conveyed down through each subsequent body till it reaches the physical body. And also, once the root of the disease is removed from the blueprint of our physical body, the symptoms appearing in the physical body starts disappearing. There has been some miraculous cases of psychic surgery done by some spiritual masters when even the parts of the body were dead or not present that have been revived. In some cases, the physical body starts regenerating them after the corrections has been made on the subtle body. A well-trained psychic surgeon can literally heal chronic problems of pains, aches, and much more. And like there's that book, Autobiography of a Yogi. I don't know if I've said it many times, the amount of miracles when you're listening, get it in audio form, and you're going to be listening to all kinds of things, miracles that these people would be witnessing on a day-to-day basis of healing and all kinds of, man hand get chop off and the next day it's healed back and all sorts of stuff. All based on these ideas of psychic surgery, all based on the idea of pranic healing. Now, I'm not going to say that we can get to that stage where we can start doing psychic surgery in this lifetime, because we've started way too late. But there's a saying, the best time was to start 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And whatever you do now is going to add to the, because every increment counts. Every increment counts in the ability to create miracles in your life, from the smallest type to the next incremental, to the next incremental, to the next incremental state. And this is all done by grounding yourself in a discipline that adds more flame to the fire, more understanding, more layers, more blockages freeing up, and be consistent with that growth. So in this way, energy healing sent by prayers, Reiki, intention, etc., is always first received on the outermost layer of the aura, i.e. astral body, and then transferred to the other bodies. The most important purpose of our aura is to act like a vessel to hold all our bodies together, and also to act like a shield protecting us from unhealthy vibrations. So the stronger our aura is, the more protected and powerful we are. The stronger our aura is, the more protected and powerful we are. So Make every breath of life a prayer for life. And that is it, my dear friends. That is the overall rounding up to understand the important aspect of how breath is encompassing in all aspects of life management, energy management, emotional management, universal management, cosmic management, and it's all done by managing your breath. And this is before even a prayer comes into play. The more that you can manage your breath, and manage that aspect of deep breathing, especially you breathe in, hold, exhale, hold. That one there, you're really tapping it into the space of being a magi, miracles happening in your life daily, to the point where it's beyond expectation. You're enjoying the process more than the outcome. And that's the beauty about getting your breathing right. And the whole cosmos now plays its rhythmical part with you and your breathing. The entire universe is now dancing with you, not against you.